Think about that one perfect memory you have with a friend. The laughter, the inside jokes, just feeling totally understood. It's those moments that make life feel really special, isn't it? But then, adulthood hits. And suddenly, keeping those deep connections, it gets really challenging. Our schedules just get absolutely packed. Work, family stuff, chores, trying to find time for yourself, those easy, spontaneous hangouts, they start feeling like major operations to plan. And spending real quality time, it takes serious effort, like actual intention. But, and this is the thing, despite all that hassle, strong friendships are just so vital. For our social health, they aren't just a nice extra, they're a fundamental need. And especially now, with loneliness seeming to be, everywhere, making our connections a priority feels more important than ever. So that's why in this deep dive, we're tackling something I think is really powerful, friendship goals. And these aren't just like vague wishes for better friends. No, they're about intentional strategies, ways to actively improve and build your social connections.
Exactly. And that's really our mission for you, the listener, today. We're going to dive deep into this whole idea of friendship goals. We're using a great source, What Are Friendship Goals? The Ultimate Guide, as our map. Our aim is simple: get you up to speed fast, help you understand what these goals actually are, why they matter so much for your well-being, and crucially, how you can set them and actually achieve them. We'll even look at different types of friends because they're not all the same.
Yeah.
And think about specific goals for each. Really practical stuff you can use to make your social life more, satisfying.
Okay, friendship goals.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued. But what makes it a goal? Exactly. Like, how is that different from me just thinking, I wish I saw my friends more? Is there a specific definition the source gives?
That's a really good question to start with. Because it is different. Friendship goals are specific objectives you actively set for yourself. It's all about improving the relationships you already have or maybe building completely new ones. But the key thing, the real difference, is that they lead to a concrete plan. You move past just hoping things change. So for example, maybe you have a really close group, right? Your goal might be to spend more quality time, perhaps setting up a regular monthly dinner. That's specific. Or maybe you've just moved somewhere new. The goal could be find new friends by joining, say, a local hiking club or a volunteer group by the end of next month. See, it's actionable. And what's really insightful, I think, is how the source connects these goals to the bigger picture, this whole self idea. They're not separate from your other personal goals. They actually work together with your values, your beliefs, your financial goals, career ambitions, even fitness goals. It's all part of your overall growth and well-being, making sure your social life fits in.
Right. Integrating it all. But I can hear some listeners thinking friendships shouldn't need goals. They should just happen, be natural, spontaneous. So what's the big why? Why bring this kind of intentionality into something that feels like it should be organic? What does the source say we actually gain from doing this?
That's a really common feeling, but the why is actually pretty fundamental. The source lays out some clear benefits, and they're significant. First off, just plain increased satisfaction. When you're intentional about friendships, it boosts your sense of belonging, your self-confidence, your self-worth, and that just leads to feeling better about life overall.
Okay, so a general boost in well-being.
Exactly. Second, you build deeper connections. Setting goals pushes you to nurture relationships more actively. You plan meaningful things together, build new memories, and that fosters real understanding. This kind of intentionality can even reveal deeper layers of support in friendships you've had for ages. The kind of support you really rely on when things get tough.
That makes sense. More meaningful time, deeper bonds.
And third, your plans just become more meaningful. When you're conscious of your friendship goals, the choices you make shift, like deciding to save up for that big trip with your old college roommates suddenly feels more purposeful than maybe just a random solo trip you hadn't thought through, because it aligns with your goal of strengthening those specific bonds.
So it adds weight to the things we choose to do with friends.
Precisely. And if we zoom out a bit, the source really hammers home how necessary strong friendships are for just basic social health. We humans need meaningful connections. It's wired into us. Avoiding social isolation is critical for staying healthy mentally and physically. And the source specifically mentions the potential rise in loneliness post-COVID, which sadly makes focusing on social health through things like friendship goals even more vital now. We often don't realize how much we lean on that quiet, steady support until we really need it.
That's a powerful point. Okay, so we're convinced it's important. But friendships vary so much, right? Like, my relationship with my best friend is totally different from my connection with, say, someone I just chat with at the gym. Does the source address that?
It absolutely does, and that's crucial because different types of friends call for different types of goals. The source breaks it down into three pretty common categories. First, you've got your go-tos. These are the rare ones, right? Your ride or dies. Lifelong friends, the first people you dial when something big happens, good or bad.
Yeah, everyone hopes they have one or two of those.
Exactly. And for these crucial relationships, the goals are usually about maintenance and deepening. Things like consciously showing gratitude, maybe working on communication, having those really deep conversations, or sometimes even clarifying boundaries to keep the connection healthy and strong.
Okay, so nurturing the core. What's next?
Next are the in-betweens. These are friendships that are kind of ambiguous. Maybe it's a newer friend or someone you like but aren't super close with yet. Here, the goal setting involves a bit of evaluation. Do you want to invest more energy to deepen this connection? Try to turn this acquaintance into a closer friend. Or maybe you realize your energy is limited and you need to consciously decide to let this one be, or even fade a bit so you can focus on your go-tos or other priorities. It forces you to ask, where do I want to put my friendship energy?
That requires some honest self-assessment.
It does.
Yeah.
And finally, there are the loose connections. These are relationships that usually have a pretty minor impact on your day-to-day life. They're often held together by just one thing. You go to the same gym, you interact on social media, you have a mutual friend, maybe your neighbors, or sometimes they're old friendships that have just naturally drifted.
We all have those too.
For sure. And the challenge here is to consider, do these loose connections actually add value? Or are they just kind of there? Would your energy be better spent elsewhere? Perhaps trying to build a new go-to or nurturing your in-betweens?
Yeah.
It's about curating your social world, really.
Okay, this idea of categorizing and especially letting go of connections, even loose ones, it could sound a bit, I don't know, clinical or maybe even transactional to some people. How do we approach this without losing the warmth and authenticity? Does the source talk about that?
That's a really important point. And no, it's definitely not about being cold or transactional. It's about being discerning, really, for your own well-being and capacity. The source gives some great tips for setting goals that keep authenticity front and center. First, it emphasizes you should actively look for true friend qualities. Seek out people who genuinely show up when you need them, who are trustworthy, who communicate well and listen well, who are non-judgmental, and who remember the little things that show they care. These are the building blocks of real, lasting friendships, not deals.
So focus on the quality of the person.
Exactly. Second, and this is huge, don't compromise on your core values. Sure, friends can disagree on things. That's normal, healthy even. But a true friend respects who you are at your core. The source is pretty blunt here. Anyone who pressures you to change your fundamental beliefs or values, that's a bad friend. And letting go of that kind of connection isn't cold, it's actually self-care.
Right. Protecting your own integrity.
Precisely. Third, you need to know what you want from friendships. A bit of self-awareness goes a long way. What kind of interactions energize you? What kind drain you? For instance, if you're an introvert, maybe you seek friends who enjoy quieter things like reading together or just having coffee. If you love being active, finding friends at the gym or on a sports team makes sense. Knowing yourself helps you find compatible people.
So it's about alignment.
Yes. And lastly, remember, you have the power to make choices about the people in your life. This isn't passive. You can consciously decide to invest more in an in-between because you see potential for real connection. And equally, you can choose to distance yourself from relationships that feel toxic or consistently drain your energy. The goal is always to maximize the good, supportive friendships and minimize the ones that drag you down. It's about creating a social circle that genuinely lifts you up.
Okay, making choices.
Yeah.
That leads us to the how. We know why we should set goals, what kinds of friends there are. But how do we actually set these goals effectively? Like, is there a method? Because saying be a better friend is kind of vague.
Totally vague. And that's where structure can actually help without being rigid. The source suggests using the SMART method. It's often used in other goal-setting contexts, but it applies surprisingly well here.
SMART goals. I've heard of that. Specific, measurable.
Exactly. Specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. Applying it to friendships just helps you get clear and makes it more likely you'll follow through.
Okay, break that down for us in a friendship context. Yeah. How does SMART not feel like homework?
Right. It's a guide, not a test.
Yeah.
So specific just means knowing exactly what you want to do. Instead of connect more, it's have one meaningful, distraction-free phone call with my best friend, name, this week. Much clearer.
Okay.
Measurable means you know when you've done it. Did you schedule and have that call? Yes. Goal met. You can track it. Achievable means Well, is it actually possible for you right now? Setting a goal to fly across the country for coffee next week probably isn't achievable unless you already have the time and money. It has to be within your reach.
Makes sense. Keep it doable.
Realistic is similar but more about context. Does this goal actually fit with your life and what you genuinely want for this specific relationship? Is it authentic to you both? A goal to go clubbing every week might not be realistic if you and your friend are homebodies.
Right. And time-bound.
Time-bound just means setting a deadline. Not in a stressful way, but to give yourself a gentle nudge. I'll arrange that coffee date by the end of the month, not just someday. It creates a little bit of accountability. It turns a wish into an actual plan.
Okay, smart goals for friendships. It feels a bit more concrete now, but let's get really practical. What does this actually look like? Can you give us some concrete examples from the source across different parts of life?
Yeah, absolutely. This is where it gets really tangible. The source gives lots of great examples. So if your best friend goals, maybe it's being intentionally more compassionate in your conversations or consciously sharing more vulnerably about yourself. Scheduling regular time is a big one, like that weekly call we mentioned, or a standing monthly brunch date. If it's long distance, making regular video calls a priority. Or maybe the goal is just to have more open, honest conversations about things that really matter, not just surface stuff.
So really focusing on the quality of interaction.
Exactly. Then there are adventure goals. Maybe you and a friend set a goal to take that road trip you've always talked about. Or, bigger scale, maybe become roommates in a new city together. Or something smaller but still adventurous, like trying kayaking or even skydiving together, creating shared, exciting memories.
Fun. What about fitness?
Oh yeah, friendship-related fitness goals are popular. Things like training for and running a half marathon together, or committing to hitting the gym together 3 times a week for the next month, or joining the same amateur sports team like soccer or volleyball. Shared goals, shared sweat.
I like that. What else? Book clubs.
Definitely. For a book club, goals could be more ambitious than just reading the monthly pick, like
Yeah.
reading an entire series together and then having a movie marathon, or taking turns choosing books that are personally significant to each member, or even writing personal essays reflecting on a book and sharing them. Deeper engagement.
Interesting. Even spiritual goals.
Yes, the source mentions spiritual or religious friendship goals, too. This could be things like raising funds together for a cause connected to your faith community, or setting aside time specifically to discuss your faith or spiritual questions, or even practicing meditation or prayer together regularly.
Wow. Okay. So it really spans all areas. What about work? Friendships at work can be tricky, but also really important.
Hugely important, and the source really highlights this. It mentions a Gallup survey, get this, 84% of American employees feel a job can't be great without great coworkers, and 67% say they have at least one close friend at work.
Wow, those numbers are high.
They really are, and it apparently massively boosts engagement and job satisfaction. So workplace friendship goals are definitely worth considering. Examples include making an effort to go for drinks or have virtual happy hours, maybe hosting a small dinner party for a few colleagues you click with. A really key one is having each other's back, actively avoiding gossip and supporting each other professionally. Finding common ground beyond work tasks, and maybe even suggesting meetups outside the office context sometimes to solidify the friendship beyond just being colleagues.
Turning colleagues into actual allies, maybe even friends.
That's the idea, building genuine trust and connection. So pulling it all together, the main takeaway is that friendship goals are, well, they're deeply personal. They need to be intentional, really rooted in your own values and the specific relationships you have. They give you the power to make conscious choices about your social life, choices that actually serve your overall well-being instead of just letting things drift.
Right. And that brings me to a final thought that really struck me from the source material, something for you, our listener, to maybe chew on. It's this. You really can't expect to have truly authentic friendships if you aren't showing up as your authentic self in the first place. So maybe the question to ask yourself is, do I need to show more gratitude to the people I care about? Do I need to carve out more dedicated time for my closest friends, my go-tos? Or, and this can be the hard one, do I need to find the courage to gently let go of some connections that aren't really serving me anymore, the ones that actually leave me feeling drained?
That's such a crucial point. And it leads to the question of how you get there, how you build that authenticity and make those choices. The source does suggest that getting support, maybe through something like coaching or even therapy, can give you tools. Tools to foster those deeper bonds, yes, but also tools to help you show up as your best, most authentic self in all your relationships, really aligning your social life with those whole self goals we talked about earlier.